A few months ago, a client hit me up on WhatsApp and said, Connor, we need help with one of our brands. Although I do a lot of lead gen, I do work with a bit of e-commerce as well, because the same fundamentals that it takes to get people to become a lead is the same type of fundamentals you need for someone to ultimately buy your consumer product. People have to know who you are, they have to like you, and then ultimately they'll want to buy from you. And a few months ago, they were doing 40K a month. And just last month, they scaled to 187. And then this was in June. It is now July. On July, they're pacing right now for 315 in the last 30 days. So we're going to go cover what some common questions are when it comes to paid advertising. Let's jump in. So first off, when it comes to platform-specific questions, which ad platform do I want to use? Google, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. I'm not the best when it comes to TikTok advertising. For LinkedIn advertising, this is more for B2B offers. It could be extremely expensive if you don't do it right. For Facebook and Instagram, this is the holy grail for advertising. It has the most amount of viewers on the platform that you could retarget. And then when it comes to Google, this is typically for intent-based marketing. What I mean by intent-based marketing is, or even this is the second question, intent-based marketing for Google Ads is whenever someone goes on Google, types in, buy a black t-shirt, and then they have the intent to buy a black t-shirt. However, if you have a black t-shirt company and you want to generate more sales, you might be putting out a case study or user-generated content of someone talking about how good a black t-shirt is. So you can see that the intent for buying a black t-shirt is extremely high whenever it comes to Google Ads. But typically for Facebook ads, you have to nurture the process down that buying cycle. And you have to nurture them, retarget them until they truly believe that the black t-shirt that you have is something that they absolutely have to have. So how do Facebook and Instagram ads work? It's an auction. So what's happening is Facebook has an algorithm and you're competing against other advertisers to bid for placements whenever someone is scrolling down their feed on either Instagram or Facebook. So typically, you're going to go have a cost per milli, cost per 1,000 impressions. And that's typically how Facebook and Instagram ads work. So should you use Google search or display ads? If you're a larger brand and you really do care about, your brand and you're not necessarily going for fast, quick sales, display ads could be beneficial, but Google search will typically have higher conversions if someone does click through them. For Google search ads, you might see a conversion anywhere from 2 to above 5%, and that would be considered normal. However, on display ads, it's going to be significantly lower because you're on the side of the screen. You're not the main focus for the viewer. So what are the best ad formats for my business? If you're watching this, chances are you care about lead generation. I would consider Facebook ads because you could test things extremely quickly. And if you figure it out, you get cheap cost per leads, cheap cost per sales. Now, when it comes to budget and cost, how much should I spend on ads? If you're not already spending about $3K a month, I wouldn't even consider running ads on if your overall marketing budget is above $5K a month, I would even consider ads. Just focus how to scale your sales in more of a guerrilla marketing type of way, just so that you could, have the necessary budget for these campaigns that you want to launch. Per channel, I'd say you at least need $1,500 a month at a minimum. What's a good cost per click? Really depends on industries. If you're targeting lawyers or if you're targeting black t-shirt companies, the lawyers will have a higher cost per click just because the lifetime value of a customer for a lawyer is a lot higher than a lifetime customer for a black t-shirt. Or in my case, if you wear black t-shirts every single day, then maybe the LTV would be higher. Okay, I'm just going on a tangent here. My jokes aren't the best, but welcome to this channel. We have bad jokes here and we wear black t-shirts. So how do I set my daily and monthly ad budget? You can do this natively on the platforms. You'll typically have a limit for a cost per click. You could have an ad budget as well. And on Google and Facebook, it's extremely easy to find where you can have your maxes. Why are my ads so expensive? I wouldn't necessarily say that ads are expensive if you have the right LTV. If you're selling a product for $20 and it costs $15 to get that customer, that would be extremely expensive. However, if you're spending $15 to get a customer that's worth $800, you'd be saying, hey, how can I get as many of these $15 customer acquisition price points as possible? So oftentimes I wouldn't say that the ads aren't expensive. You're just not monetizing your offer as best as possible. So what's ROAS and what's a good target? Return on ad spend. And then what's a good target? I don't know, at least 4 to 10x your customer acquisition cost. So if it costs $15 to get a customer, 4 times that would be $60 at a minimum. That's what I would recommend for your lifetime value. What we're doing with the current e-commerce brand. So if I scroll up here, this is a recurring offer and people do purchase quite a bit. And we can see that the subscription growth is going quite well and there's low churn. Next up, where were we? Targeting and audiences. How do I target the right audience? On Google, you are searching for keywords. So you want to make sure that you have your negative keywords. You have high intent keywords that are actually going to be converting prospects. In terms of Facebook, I do targeting a general audience. So I don't do a lot of custom targeting. I let the algorithm do its thing. What's the difference between interest and demographic targeting? So interest targeting could be someone that likes volleyball. Demographics targeting would be a male who might be in their 20s or 30s that lives in the USA. That would be the difference. So one is an interest of theirs. The other one is who they are as a person and what sort of demographic they fit into. How do I create lookalike audiences? You could upload a list of your current client base if you want to go do it that way, or you could create a new list on Facebook or a new audience on Facebook of just people that have gone onto your website so that they're able to see different ads from the initial ad that they saw when they went on to your page in the first place. Show you broad or narrow targeting. Use narrow targeting if you're using LinkedIn. Everything else I'd recommend you go broad. How do I retarget website visitors? You have to set up a pixel. What a pixel is, it's pretty much a signal that you put on your website. And so whenever Facebook does send a click over to site, this signal over here will let Facebook know. And that's pretty much what retargeting is. So that Facebook in the future, they're going to go send different ads to the person that was already on your site. You might say in the first place, hey, come see our black t-shirts as the initial way of how to get someone on your website. But on the second or third or fourth time you're retargeting someone, you might be showcasing why your t-shirts are different, why your t-shirts are great for men, why you might have a super exclusive sale. And those would be ways of how you retarget someone by showing how you're unique and then showing some urgency. Next up, when it comes to ad creation, what makes a good ad headline and copy? If they click on your ad, that's typically what's going to go make a good ad headline and copy. In terms of this, it would be something that is short, concise, gets them further along the buying process. Anything that would do that would be considered a good ad headline and copy. So how do I create compelling ad visuals? You could use simple image ads if you want, just something that really showcases the product if you're doing e-com. And then should I use video or image ads? I would test both and see what leads to a cheaper cost per lead. Performance and optimization. Why are my ads getting clicks and conversions? Chances are your hook sucks or your creative sucks. When should I pause or scale ads? If you're happy with the current ROAS, scale it slowly, because if you scale it too fast, you're not going to go teach Facebook to be efficient with your ad dollars. How do I test my ads effectively? Test one variable at a time. Test one hook at a time. Test one creative change at a time. Because if you're testing 3-4 different variables, you're never going to be able to isolate the specific, winning variable. Setup and technical questions. How do I set up conversion tracking? A lot of platforms do this automatically with Facebook's conversion API. I'd watch a few YouTube videos and then test it. So what's a pixel and how do I install it? I believe that we already covered this question. So why was my ad rejected or disapproved? Chances are you might be in a tough category, such as insurance or financial products. And if you're in that industry, you have to make sure that your ad is compliant. How do I ensure proper campaign structure? Google, it's very straightforward. With Facebook, what you're doing is you're going to have to identify your campaign objective. Then you're going to go figure out your ad sets and then finally your ad. When you're A/B testing, you want to either test at the ad set level or at the ad level. Strategy and planning. How do I create a sales funnel with ads? I would just listen to a guy named Matthew Larson on YouTube. Should I focus on top, middle, or bottom of the funnel? I would see exactly what your conversion rates or conversion percentages are at every single stage. And depending on where they would be against your industry benchmarks, I would optimize that part of the funnel. If you suck at closing prospects, I would make sure that you either change your offer, change the sales page so that people could eventually buy from you extremely easily. Measurement and analytics, what metrics should I focus on? I would just focus on your CAC and then your LTV. Those are the easiest two to focus on. How do I calculate customer acquisition cost? This would be all of your marketing spend divided by the amount of new customers that you do get. Common problems. Why did my ad account get suspended? There could be issues with your payment. There could be issues that you're doing some fraudulent activity on your ad account, or Facebook thinks that you're doing some fraudulent activity. How do I deal with ad fatigue? Simply make A/B test the ad, and perhaps you're maxing out your market, but typically it takes quite a bit of ad spend to do that. What should I do if my ads aren't converting? If your ads aren't converting, I would just change your offer, because no amount of minor tweaks will change an offer that's simply getting absolutely no results. So I would change your offer, because if you change your offer, then you have a higher likelihood to have massive results if you're doing a massive change. So that's the overview for today's Facebook ads questions. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a good one. Bye.